What is going on, guys? It's the Inside the Blue Podcast, episode 75. Today we're breaking down the Giants' unfortunate Christmas loss over the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles get the better of the Giants in this one, 33-25. And it's a tough loss for the Giants. Obviously, they moved to 5-10. They're eliminated from playoffs. It stinks. It feels like a revolving circle with the Giants. They make the playoffs one year, expectations go a little bit higher. Maybe they can make the playoffs another year, and then everything just crashes down, and they miss the playoffs. Eagles eliminate the Giants 2 years in a row. They from the playoffs and just making the playoffs. This time they eliminate the playoff chances for the Giants. Last year they eliminated them in the playoffs with that 38-3 victory, something like that. But the Eagles, I still think, are a very good football team, even though they did play this game a lot closer than many thought. They were a 13.5 favorite coming into the game. Giants made it close. It was pretty cool to see that. I thought we were going to get smoked or keep it close. I said that in the previous video, that this game could get real close or that the Eagles are just going to blow them out. And the Eagles did not blow them out. The Giants played a pretty decent game overall. And I think, with seeing this game, it's tough to say if they could beat them at MetLife. I know that's been a big question. If they go to Philadelphia and they can play like this, how is it, when they come to MetLife? But you never know. I still think the Eagles are a super team. They just had a really bad game, and that's been a revolving thing for this Eagles team. Their offense hasn't been the offense like it was last year. The secondary is nowhere near as good as it was last year. And that's probably why, the Eagles allowed so many points to the Giants, because the Giants were starting to pick apart their defense a little bit. Darius Slayton having a nice touchdown. Saquon Barkley getting a nice touchdown. A lot happened in this game. And Adoree Jackson pick six. Didn't have that on my bingo card. I also didn't think that Tommy DeVito was going to not play the full 4 quarters as Tyrod Taylor replaced him. It's an interesting topic to say because, it's Tommy DeVito, big storyline. We thought this guy could maybe be a backup, and then Dable takes him out for Tyrod. And I know Tyrod probably moved the football a lot better than DeVito, but when you're at a point in this time in the season that you don't have a realistic chance of making the playoffs and your playoff hopes are gone, and we don't continue to just ride with Tommy DeVito, is definitely interesting. I know, Dable is Dable is a coach that has a winning mentality. He wants to win every single game he can, whether they're in the playoffs or they're not in the playoffs, because he just likes to win, and that's what you need from a coach. And he saw that Tommy DeVito was not moving the football the way he wanted it to, and they take him out. Tyrod Taylor moves the ball pretty well. Had a nice launch pass to Darius Slayton. Had another good few passes, and it stinks because I wanted to see Tommy DeVito kind of finish out this game and finish out the season. But we also got word that Tommy DeVito would not be starting against the Los Angeles Rams. That's going to be Tyrod Taylor. So that's another interesting topic. What is really the future with Tommy DeVito? Are we going to see Tommy DeVito on a different team? I know Washington put out a chance. Well, they gave him a chance to go to Washington, but Tommy DeVito ended up staying. So maybe Washington's a destination for Tommy DeVito. But anyways, this game, man, a lot of things happen in this game that, have to be broken down, because that's what we do. You could say what you want about the officials, about the Saquon Barkley potential PI, the Wan'Dale Robinson pass interference that was miscalled, the problem at the end where Darren Waller was apparently hurt or was faking an injury. We don't really know, to get a stoppage and clock to maybe have more time. then end up running out to I think 2 seconds left in the game. So something like that. There was not much time, and I know it was less than 10 seconds. So regardless, this was a game that us Giants fans, if we're being real with ourselves and looking ourselves in the mirror, we didn't expect to be in this situation whatsoever. And I will admit, I was one of the ones that kind of blamed the refs for this game, but in reality, it wouldn't have mattered if the Giants really won this game or not. It would have been nice to beat them, though, which is what I'm getting to, because we don't like the Eagles. Hopefully, we could beat them at MetLife and split the series. But the Giants have struggled against the Eagles at Lincoln Financial as they were 0-11 since 2014. That's all I gotta say. But I think this team is trending in the right direction. I know 6-10 or whatever the record is, 5-10, not the greatest, right? But I think Brian Dable is the right coach for this team, because I look at this team and I know that they need some pieces. They need a true quarterback number one, and I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be that. So maybe they look in the draft this year or the next year to draft the QB, because I just don't see Daniel Jones being the long-term answer. He threw 15 touchdowns and got paid $40 million. That is just not great. And then he comes into this season after being paid and just does not have a good season. So that's another thing. With Daniel Jones, is he could very well be cut soon. Probably not this season. Probably more like next season. He's a great person, great team leader. But when it comes to actually playing the QB position, he's not amazing. It stinks because I thought maybe we have something with Daniel Jones. Maybe Brian Dable has used his magic, but I'd rather just draft a guy to fill that position, in my opinion. And also, this team needs a true wide receiver one. I don't really know what we're getting with Jalen Hyatt or Wando Robinson or Darius Slayton. I really don't know who truly is the wide receiver one. Maybe it's Darius Slayton, but I also don't think we use Jalen Hyatt enough. He's a deep threat. This guy can burn players, Jalen Hyatt, but I don't think we're using him correctly, in my opinion. So if the Giants want to go out and draft another wide receiver, whether it's like Xavier Worthy, whether they go real ballsy and they draft Malik Nabers in the first round. But we all know offensive line is the main concern with this team. They're all the way at the bottom when it comes to pass blocking grade, run blocking grade, all that stuff. They allow a bunch of sacks too. No QB should be getting sacked 9 to 10 times a game. That's how they're going to get injured, and that's why Daniel Jones is not playing, because he is injured. He tore his ACL, but it was not a contact injury. But that's usually what ACL injuries are. They're usually non-contact. It's just a player having a bad cut or cleat getting caught in the turf, something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a sucky injury. But I look at this team, I still think, especially that Joe Schoen is your QB and not Dave Gettleman. I think that also helps you out, because I think Joe Schoen is a lot better than Dave Gettleman. I think he is the right person for him. But yeah, and how about Deonte Banks? How about Deonte Banks guarding against AJ Brown? That was a big question in the pregame pod. Who's going to guard AJ Brown? Deonte Banks did a pretty damn good job against AJ Brown. 2 receptions, 12 yards. Obviously, AJ Brown had more yards later in the game, but Deonte Banks also got hurt. So, good job by Deonte Banks guarding against one of the best wide receivers, one of the most physical wide receivers. Got the job done. So that's a good job on Deonte Banks. He's done a good job overall. I think he's had some bad games for sure. And him getting burnt by CeeDee Lamb, or the Saints game wasn't amazing. So, but he's had a pretty solid first year, and I think he's only going to get better from that. So maybe the Giants have found a CB1, which is good because haven't really had that in a while. You know, the Giants have just been so bad at drafting, and that's why they're in the position where they are, and they're not competing well against the Cowboys, and they're not competing well against the Eagles. It's because they just haven't drafted well, and this is a drafting league. If you don't draft well and you don't make the right moves, you're going to be down at the bottom every single year and not get a taste of the playoffs or even the Super Bowl. I still think that this team, is going to finish probably under 7 wins, I'd say. I don't know if they beat the Rams because I think the Rams aren't that bad of a team. And I don't know if they beat the Eagles, but the other thing I said earlier is, are the Eagles really that super team, or are they a team where it's like, I hate using the word frauds, but are they frauds? I still don't think they are a fraudulent team. I think they just played this game close, and their offense has struggled for sure. I will say that. And their defense has struggled. And when the Eagles play a top team, they can get blown out very easily if they, don't play well defensively. But, let's get into the Q&A. We haven't done a Q&A in a while, especially after a post-game. Usually it's pre-game Q&As, but definitely let's start answering these questions. And the first question we have is for Brian Dable. Brian Dable, we all know he benched Tommy DeVito for Tyrod Taylor. My thoughts on it, I definitely don't agree with it, but I could understand where Dable is coming from. He wants the QB that's going to give them the best chance to win. He still wants to win, even though his team is under 500 and they've had a bad year. So that's the reason why DeVito got benched. I don't think he was moving the football well, and he wasn't airing it out like what Tyrod Taylor was doing. So I definitely don't agree with the move, but I definitely see where he's coming from. I also don't agree with him starting Tyrod over Tommy DeVito. So pretty much the Tommy DeVito storyline ends there at Lincoln Financial. Next question. Should the Giants sign a backup for Daniel Jones because we don't know how Daniel Jones is going to be next year? It's an interesting question. I know there's been names like Jacoby Brissett. Maybe you get Tyrod back on one more year if he doesn't retire. Or Tommy DeVito, but I don't think I've seen enough from Tommy DeVito to really say he's a quality backup starter, quality backup QB. Do you think Wink Martindale should be under fire after his poor performance against underperforming offensive teams? Or teams that are struggling offensively? No, I don't think Wink should be fired. If that's really what the question is, I think he should be under some fire? Probably. I definitely do agree with that. I think his game against the Saints was probably his worst play calling performance I've ever seen from him. No Olave, no Michael Thomas, a bunch of practice squad or no names, and they're dialing it up and they're slinging the football, and you're losing to the Saints. That game should not have been lost whatsoever. And to get blown out like that, like seriously? Not good. Not good at all. And Wink Martindale didn't help out with that either. But yeah, I definitely think he should be under some fire. I don't think firing him is the right solution, though, because as a football player, right? If you're a football player, I think everybody knows this. When you move from one coordinator to a different one, a completely different scheme, completely different everything, it changes everything. It's a brand new system that you have to learn, and that takes a while. It took a bit for the Giants to understand what Wink Martindale was trying to get done. It helped last year, but you also didn't play the greatest football teams, and when you did, you lost, unless you played the Baltimore Ravens or the Jaguars, which you won both of those games. But, yeah, I mean, I love Wink. I think he's a good coach, but I think there's definitely some consideration of him that the Giants even firing him this year. I mean, I would be pretty upset if they let Wink Martindale go, because we truly don't know the relationship between Brian Dable and Wink Martindale. I know there's been comments, oh yeah, they shared a slice of pizza, they shared a donut together. Like, I don't know how much I could buy into that. Last question is, should the Giants cut Darren Waller and Mark Galinsky? So the thing with Darren Waller is I think he's a great player. I really do. But he can't stay healthy, which is a problem. And if you can't stay healthy, it's hard for me to really defend you if you can't stay healthy. Darren Waller was, he's a great player when healthy. I think we know that. I think he helps out the Giants offense when he's healthy, but his injury concerns are really poor, and it's hard to defend this. I really could see them cut. I don't know if I could see them cutting him, Darren Waller, but Mark Owinski 1,000%. That guy has been awful for the Giants. Mark Owinski has been poor. Everything about Mark Owinski this season has been poor, but the thing with Darren Waller is I think I give him one more year, unless you really want to cut him to save some cap space. But I think I give him one more year. And if things are bad, maybe try to find a trade partner if someone wants him, or just cut him. That is my solution between Darren Waller and the Giants. But, last thing about the refs and the officials, it sucked. The officials sucked. Now, am I mad that they lost 100%? I always get mad when the Giants lose. But to lose in that fashion, man, is just embarrassing. And I know, I mentioned it earlier, if they won or they lost, it wouldn't have mattered about their season. But sometimes they got to really investigate these referees, man. For all teams, for all games, right? I will say this. The NHL has the best referees out of any sport. I think so. I really do. I think football is bad. I think the umpires in baseball, it really depends who's calling balls and strikes. And I think the NFL really needs to fix their officials. Because what we saw, whether Darren Waller was hurt or not, I'm surprised there wasn't a whistle. So say he broke his leg. Say Darren Waller all of a sudden breaks his leg on Lincoln Financial Field, which I hope never happens. Are we just going to play on? Are we going to have to carry him off the field and substitute Daniel Bellinger and have maybe 3 seconds to snap this football? Now, getting back to that, I kind of think he did fake his injury because he was still able to run and he was limping. The Saquon Barkley thing at the end, I think he flopped for sure. I really do believe that was a flop. But anyways, not even to take that into consideration to throw a flag is crazy, but it's also the last play of the game. Lane Johnson, I don't know how officials haven't seen this man jump off sides. This guy is at a false start every single play, and it's seen. You can see it on the camera. I saw it against the 49ers. He is a step ahead of Nick Bosa because he jumps before the ball is even snapped. No call. The false start on the Giants earlier when their defensive tackle ran it to Justin Pugh, that got called, but not for the Eagles. That wasn't called for the Eagles, And I'm not trying to say. I mean, I kind of am trying to say that the Giants lost to the refs and the Eagles. But just fix your officials, man. Just do it. Fix it, because that was an embarrassing. And this wasn't just Giants fans saying it. I saw other comments. This was not just Giants fans. I heard from Cowboys fans, Niners fans, everybody complaining about the Eagles beating the Giants in not usual fashion. They had to get the refs help. I'm saying it. You could say whatever you want about it. You could comment below that I'm a sore loser. Giants suck, 5-10. I've heard it all already. These officials stink, and I'm not saying if they switched a few calls, the Giants would have won, but maybe there would have been a different outcome. But anyways, guys, that's my little rant on the officials. But, of course, it's been the Inside the Blue Podcast, episode 75. Let's hit 100 subs in the next few days. Why not? Or at least 80. Come on, guys. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it. Tell your grandma about it. Of course, see you guys in the next one. Let's go Giants, baby.